After a long day of work, you and your politician friends decide to play a game of Monopoly. At first, things are played normally. You pass go, collect $200. You go to jail, a mild inconvenience, you pay your way out. A system of rules. One of your politician friends reaches into the bank and takes all the money. You say that's against the rules. The politician says, so? You keep playing. The politician reaches for everyone's properties and grabs them and knocks other people's hotels off the board. You complain. That's against the rules. The politician says, I know. And the game continues. What do the laws of an illegitimate government mean? I use the metaphor of the Monopoly game, a game already saturated in metaphor, to describe my understanding of liberal democracy. Liberalism operates through a series of bureaucratic logistical processes that decide what a person is allowed to do and what a person is not allowed to do. The operations of liberalism depend on a set of conventions among its participants that values these bureaucratic processes. A sense of the rules, as it were. Democracy has been eroding for a long time. But what's more recent, I think, is the erosion of liberalism. The open disregard of rules, procedures, the Constitution, congressional expectations, the courts. I think back to Andrew Jackson's disregard of Supreme Court decisions. Absent liberalism, there are new systems of social relations. Now, liberalism was always something of a facade. It operated under the presumption of fairness and legality, but at its core, it was neither fair nor legally consistent, like the game of Monopoly, where jail is just a pit stop because you can bribe the guards, where you can accumulate wealth by existing. Nevertheless, something changes when participants with power choose to disregard the rules flagrantly, openly. The question becomes, do you keep playing the game? Imagine that the person you're playing against continues to cheat, like a toddler, over and over and over again. And another player whines about it every time. You can't do that. But nothing happens. But now imagine it's not a game. And that your and your friends' lives depend on the outcomes. The facade that is the meritocracy of monopoly, the idea that you earn wealth by having it, is a facade. But once it's gone, the sense of rules, the sense of laws, the sense of the Constitution, what comes to replace it? As I see it, there are two sets of social relations that come to mind. The first is a set of social relations defined by community, liberation, and justice, instead of individual liberty and justice, which was the way of liberalism. The other is the free exercise of institutional power, justified only by itself. They call this form of social relations fascism. The reason I bring this up is because I think that our systems of advocacy, our habits, protesting, writing letters to Congress, signing petitions, are now obsolete, based on the old rules that no longer apply. When Mitch McConnell decides that Congress no longer needs to hear an appeal for President Obama's pick for Supreme Court justice, results are dependent on the leveraging of power rather than legality. We might put our hopes in the Supreme Court or in the rule of law or in anyone who will balance out the absurd, open abuse of power that is occurring in the status quo. But the reason that it is open, the reason that it's no longer hidden, is because it no longer needs to be. The rules have changed. And if the rules no longer apply, what does it mean to keep following them? There is no law. The old rules don't apply. There is no illegal because there is no longer any legal. Thank you. A brief addendum from the morning after. This is not a call to violence. It is a call to radical thinking. our habits need to change. And the usual safeguards no longer apply. The implications of that, what it means to live in a world of an illegitimate government, is beyond my capacity to answer. But I just wanted to add that I do not mean to call for any sort of violence or really to tell you what to do in any way. I just hope to process the new situation in which we find ourselves.